Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. The Nissan CD truck manual transmission swap is finally complete. In this video, I'm going to take the truck out for its first real test drive. After installing the transmission, the clutch, modifying the shifter, dealing with issues, we're finally getting it together so that we can take it out and see how it feels on the road. When I get back, we'll do a quick top to bottom look at what was needed in order to do this swap so that you can do it too. Let's get it on the road. Okay, I can't go too far in first or second gear because of the roughness of the road. We've got to get to a paved road, and that's about a mile away. So bear with me a couple of minutes until we get there. First gear, the clutch action is good. Second is good when feels nice and tight. Let's see, before we get going here, I'm going to start off in second gear. Some people think that because of the gear spacing in this transmission, that first gear is too steep. So let's start off in second gear, and we'll see if that's how that works. Well, let's say that you can start off in second gear. It's not too steep. Let's try just going with first gear. I don't think first gear is too steep. Again, we're on an unpaved road, so there's a little bit of tire spin just because it's a crummy road. We'll get up to a paved road and we'll get a little clearer sound and a better idea of what kind of traction we've got. Remember, I do not have Positrack in this truck, or limited slip. It's a one leg, it's a peg leg. It's got the one wheel peel, at least for now. Actually, we're in third gear right now. According to my speedometer, we're doing about 20 miles an hour. It's still got plenty of snap to it. Too much further. The engine really feels a lot different with this transmission so far than the original. All right, reach the paved road. Now that we're on a nice road surface, start off in first gear. Kind of hard to control the camera. Man, it's got some snap to it, that's for sure. transmission feels really nice. Gears are very positive. No weird noises. That's good. Got plenty of torque that even 40 miles an hour in fourth gear has good pull. Okay, I'm going to stop the truck. We're going to start off in second gear. Let's get a better idea of what that's like. Here's second gear. Bogs a little bit, but then if I hit it too hard, the camera would go flying. Yeah. It's hard to describe, but the acceleration and the feel is much better than with the original transmission. Tight and precise, and that's even with the stock shifter. Now this is an aftermarket shifter arm, but the actual shifter on the transmission is stock. I just modified the base so that my Hurst handle would fit, at least until I can find a better option. But I don't know, right now it feels pretty good. Sixth gear. Sixth gear, I'm doing a little less than 50. Still has some good pull to it. My engine's basically stock, so man, I'm impressed. Let's see, we can do it this way. I don't know what this is going to look like, but we'll try it. We're going to accelerate from first gear. Yeah, I like it. Runs good. GPS, it appears to be pretty accurate. It's within 1 or 2 miles per hour at the 50 and 55 and 60 range, so I'm pleased with that. Now at the back of the shop, let's get the truck up on the lift so we can take a better look underneath. We'll do a walkthrough. With the truck up in the air, we can now kind of look at everything. Just kind of do a quick once over. The bell housing I used was a 4L60E, and I will list in the description below the video the part numbers for these components so that you can see which one to get. Now this particular one, I know there are different bell housings and not all of them are the same. The FabBot Engineering adapter, here's the bright billet. piece, and all the other components obviously inside you can't see. We got all the clutch parts. We got most of the clutch parts from FabBot. I did buy the pressure plate from Rock Auto, and looking back, even though I got the right one, it would have been a lot easier to have bought it as a complete kit so I didn't have to scrounge parts from various places. But the good thing is Matt over at FabBot Engineering has now put together a kit based on what we did to this truck, so that if you need one for a CK Chevy pickup and you're doing an LS swap in it, he'll have the kit you need. The transmission itself, we cut the front of the bell housing off. Two-wheel drive version of the Xterra Frontier 6-speed manual that's only found, this version is only found in the two-wheel drive and the V6 models. If it's in a 4-cylinder, it's a 5-speed, and it is not as robust. So this is the one you want. The location for the shifter, mine's about 10 inches back from its original location. That's something to keep in mind. In comparison to the CD 009 that comes out of the cars, like the Z and the G35, your shifter would be even further back. So I would suggest the truck transmission over the car transmission in this application for the shifter placement. I have a reluctor gear on this input shaft, and I don't need that. That is for the Nissan. So do not get that. You won't need it. Your drive shaft will be shortened about 2 inches. Had mine rebalanced and new U-joints put in place. And at the back, I've got the Jags That Run 40-tooth reluctor kit. Intended it for an S10 and a V8 application, but this works perfectly for this application. It mounts to the rear of the pinion, and it was easy enough to mount this bracket. I drilled or elongated one hole for it to fit in an existing hole that was already there. Fits just right, and it's pretty accurate. It may be off a couple of miles per hour. In the future, we may fine-tune that a bit with a tune, but for now, it's just fine. There were no real issues in stabbing it, except that I, at one point, thought that my pilot bearing might have been incorrect, but I was wrong. It was correct. It was just, it's a bulky transmission to put up in there. It does fit without any massaging. No modifications were necessary to the firewall or the bottom of the truck. With the exception of the placement of the shifter, you would definitely have to modify that. Now, if you're like me, whether you have carpet or vinyl mat, which is what mine has, I bought a new vinyl mat for it because after you modify the floor, the existing hole is not going to be in the right place. So you'll want to get that to cover up the old hole, open up for the new one, and make it look factory. Has a hydraulic throwout in it. Here's the lines. There's the line up here. You can see here's one line, the input, and this one's the bleed line. And they go into the inching compartment. The cross member is the factory GM cross member with some modifications. And you can kind of see what I had to do here. It was too tall, so I cut a chunk out and turned it upside down, shoved it in the bottom, welded it in place, and it works just fine. Measured my angles so that my pinion angles are correct so that I don't have any unusual vibration or wear. And after the test drive, I can verify that that's fine, that there's no unusual sounds or vibration. Okay, let's take it down and look under the hood because we've got another modification going on there. Okay, the main modification under the hood is to the master cylinder. And in this case, on the CK series trucks, the 88 to 98 CK series trucks, the factory master cylinder is just not large enough to push enough volume and get the right pressure to disengage a hydraulic throwout bearing that we used on this transmission, which is similar to the, I believe the T56 would use. So the answer to that is to put a larger bore master cylinder. Now in my case, it's a little different because it has a remote reservoir over here. And that's only because of my LS swap. I've mounted the TAC module up here, and I have it mounted in this position for a purpose. And because of that, a regular master cylinder might have made contact with it on the bottom side here, and that's why we went with a remote. However, in your case, if you don't have anything here, or if you have what would be the factory cruise control module, it would fit just fine because the cruise control module is only a couple of inches thick. The master cylinder would come out further and it would be fine. In either case, if you have any unusual modifications to your truck due to your swap, talk to Matt before you order the kit so you can make sure that there isn't going to be any interference problems and that the parts you need are going to work for your particular application. Here's the hydraulic line, and they're 5 feet long. Mine's a little longer, only because the original line that was, I believe it was 4 feet, came just a little bit short of actually meeting the reservoir. And the shortest one to add to that's about 12 to 14 inches long, which would mean I would have to pull the transmission to access the throwout bearing in order to do that. I just added that extra line in there. And then the bleed line is over here. And that can be pulled out and made more accessible. So that's the only modification under the hood that is necessary, and it is a very worthwhile one because it works great. The last modification has to do with the interior. In this case, I've got a set of 24 Silverado seats, and the shifter is mounted in this position right here. Now, this is great for me, works for me, but depending on where you're hitting the gears at, if you have a bench seat, this might not work. Now, you would have to get your own shifter modifications. There are a few companies out there that make aftermarket shifters for this transmission. They're kind of pricey. So this is using the factory shifter base, and then I cut off the factory shifter a few inches above the top, welded on a plate, drilled holes, and put this Hurst handle. And it's a curved handle. So for your application, you're going to have to figure out where you want the shift ball to be and then decide how you want to modify your handle. In this case, it was a very simple modification, angling it so that when I'm in second, fourth, or sixth gear or reverse, that I'm far enough away from the seat that when you're going through the gears, when you're going through the motion of the gears, you're not hitting the seat each time. And that's it. Now, this looks factory because I've replaced the rubber mat. But the factory shifter would have been right up here. So you can see it's moved a fair ways back. Again, this is why you probably do not want to use the CD 009 or that series of transmission that came off of the cars and the Nissans and the Infinitis, because it would put your shifter even further back. Now, if you're running just bucket seats, and if it's going to be a track truck or something like that, that won't matter. What might matter is your seating position, how long your arms are, and how comfortable you are with the shifter being more forward or further back. This, for me, works great. Okay, now we're back to where we started in the beginning of the video. So I hope you stuck with me through that. I hope it gave you some good information. If you're thinking about this transmission, if you were going to ask me, hey, would I do it again? In a heartbeat. It works great. It'll handle more power than I can ever throw at it. I'm not a racer by any means, but even if you are, Matt's truck was putting down around 800 rear wheel horsepower, and he had no trouble with his. So not to say that everyone is perfect, but these transmissions are tough. They work great, readily available, and I chose it because, hey, the price was good. Even a AR5 would cost as much or more than what I paid for this. So why not go with the better transmission? Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.